and they're paying attention to a 4 or 5-year-old at one end, while the 2-year-old slips in at the steps. And we've seen that consistently just about every season for the last 3 seasons.
Tom Leander has 3 children.
It's very easy to get distracted. I mean, especially when you've got 3 kids, you can be playing with the 2 older ones and all of a sudden the little one kind of starts to escape a little bit. But you just have to remind yourself every time you head to the pool just to keep your eyes open all the time.
Did you go that way? Did you go that way?
Firefighters have seen it all too often. The more people around a pool, the more distractions.
So if you're going to have a pool party or a barbecue, make sure that you always have someone in the pool area that is the designated water watcher. Loss of focus is the #1 reason for drownings.
Right there, you're standing up. You have to do something bigger there.
It's hard on the firefighters and paramedics that have to respond to a drowning. They don't forget.
Drowning scenes are probably among the most stressful types of calls to work on as a paramedic. Just from the standpoint of the scene being usually so chaotic. You've heard the 911 tapes, the screaming, the hysterical.
Fire department, what's the location of your emergency?
Okay. Yeah, we have a child in the pool, please.
You need to calm down.
Please, it's not breathing.
I don't even have a word to describe it. It just gut-wrenching noise that you hear on those 911 tapes. That doesn't stop when we get there, usually.
For 6 years, paramedic Tim Gift worked at the city's busiest fire station for drownings, Station 25, on the city's west side. It got to him, as it gets to all of them.
It's hard on us as far as firefighters. There's no firefighters that I know that can go and it doesn't affect you, because you see these children and you see your daughters, your sons, your nieces and your nephews.
The firefighters see their own children and the children that they're doing CPR on. There is nothing good about going to a drowning call.
So what happens to a child that is trapped underwater? It is a horrific picture. She can't scream because her natural instinct is to hold her breath. Oftentimes, she doesn't take water in her lungs right away because her vocal cords spasm down so no water can pass into her lungs. As she struggles, she uses up all her oxygen that is stored in her lungs and passes out. Her heart still beats. 5 minutes underwater, her bodily functions and brain start to shut down. Doctors estimate after about 10 minutes, her vocal cords begin to relax. Water then can re-enter the lungs at this time. Even if the heart can be restarted, the child has suffered irreversible damage. That's why safety experts say knowing CPR is so critical. For near-drowning victims, the end result can be far more emotional than even death. Mother Nature doesn't give these victims a second chance either.
Right now, the nurse's aide is giving Angela her nutrition by a tube that goes into her stomach.
Angela was 3 years old when she nearly drowned. She is 19 years old now. Near-drowning victims don't usually survive this long. And because Angela must have 24-hour care, her home is a long-term care facility. Angela's parents live far away. Rarely do they visit her.
And a lot of it's just too painful to come to see your child.
Susan Rich is Angela's respiratory therapist.
Because Angela has a lot of secretions, she doesn't have a cough anymore. It's like a gag reflex. We have to take a catheter and go down into her trach and suction the secretions out.
Ready?
For the average person, this is hard to watch.
And I'll go down into her lungs and pick up the secretions that she can't get out herself.
At night, Angela must now have the help of a ventilator in order to breathe.
All right, Ange, let's take you off.
Does Angela know what's going on? It's hard to say, but medical experts doubt it. Tara is another near-drowning victim living at Hacienda de Los Angeles. She was 1.5 years when she crawled out of a partially open door into the backyard pool. Tara is now 17.
As far as her prognosis, is she going to get any better? No, she's not.
Angela and Tara once perfect, healthy girls. Long-term care for near-drowning victims is estimated as high as $180,000 a year. For lifetime care for victims under 15 years of age, up to $4.5 million. For every child who drowns, an additional 4 children are hospitalized for near drowning. These shocking numbers and statistics frustrate the emergency and medical communities. The big question: what has to happen to make people change the way they live their lives, especially around water? News radio station KTAR in Phoenix, known for its 2 seconds is too long public service announcements on drowning awareness, felt that campaign had lost its effectiveness. So it came up with new announcements that have definitely gotten the public's attention.
This is Bob Kahn with Phoenix Fire. This is what it sounds like to lose a child.
Can you hear me?
Recorded during a 911 call after the parents found their 2-year-old face down in a pool.
The first one, the 911 call, was originally done last year, but our management then pulled it. They thought it was too hard-hitting. And we're under new ownership, and the new ownership was more than supportive of running it.
This is Bob Kahn with Phoenix Fire, with a question for you. What goes through a child's mind as they drown?
Where's my mommy? Can you see me? I'm falling. Mommy, help me. I can't.
The second one was more of a conceptual thing. I was sitting around thinking, what goes through a child's mind as they're drowning? And the reason I thought of that was because on the news one evening, Bob Kahn was reporting on yet another drowning and said, you know, the thing that he can't get out of his mind is the thought of that child realizing that they're in trouble and that they can't do anything. They're, you know, no one's there to help them.
Last year, 28 children drowned in the valley. But what about the survivors?
She just lay there. We have to move her. This is just to suction her. She can't cough.
What we're trying to do now in the third one, which is more of a follow-up, a lot of people think that when a child survives a drowning, or they call it a near drowning, that the next day they're out shooting hoops, and they're not.
And listeners' reactions to the new announcements?
At first it was very negative. At first the reaction was, how could you run this? This is, you know, irresponsible of KTAR to run this. You know, you're supposed to set a standard in the community. And then suddenly the reaction started to shift to, wow, this is a great public service, more power to you. Hey, can I get a copy of that for friends in California?
It's not about easy listening. It's not about a message that people tune out. We wanted to get people's attention. We wanted to get the attention of parents and grandparents, caregivers, aunts and uncles. It's watching your kids around water. And if